Hey guys, Alice here. Thanks for joining me. Really excited. We got a few videos coming to you about Shield Lock. We know we got a new region, and the region's growing with a lot of FNGs. Get some people from other regions as well. But we really find it important to promote and encourage Shield Lock. So in these next videos coming up, it's going to go into the what is a Shield Lock, why is it important, and how you get into one or start one and join one. So stay tuned. We're really excited for that. Grab your pen and paper and your cue source and stick around. Let's get started.
Horn, 48, Gabe Camacho. Been in F3 5 years. Yes, I am in a Shield Lock. I've been in multiple Shield Locks. I've been in Shield Lock basically since I started this. The current one I'm in, I've been for a little over 2 years now. So a Shield Lock to me is just someone to hold me accountable for, my actions, and someone that I can talk to on a regular basis to discuss those topics that I have, and we go back and forth on points in our life where we're at and holding each other accountable for the things that we do, and it works very well for me.
Chris Throckmorton, 36, duck hunt. I've been in F3 for going on a little over 4 months at this point. I'm not in a Shield Lock. It's a group of guys. Goal, I think, is between 3 and 5 people. It's an accountability group, but it's also a perspective grasping group where you can go ask good questions, or even what you might think is a stupid question, and you're going to have guys around you that you know, trust, and you work in the gloom with.
Joe Hyatt, 32, Topo. There we go. I've been in F3 for just over a month, I think. I am not in a Shield Lock. Don't know much besides what I heard from the past two, but it seems like tight-knit group, and then making sure your mental health seems good, and you're coming, have someone to lean on type of thing.
Nixon, 43, impossible. 3.5 years I have been in F3. I am currently in a Shield Lock and have been pretty much since I joined. A Shield Lock to me is a group of brothers that I work out with very regularly, meet with regularly to discuss all aspects of life in order to accelerate those aspects of life together and to pick up pro tips and hints on guys who are in a similar stage of life.
All right, guys, welcome to part one of what is a Shield Lock. And before we get into the F3 part of it, I wanted to just lay out some of the history of a Shield Lock so you know where this whole imagery is coming from that we use in the Shield Lock. So a long time ago, you guys probably heard about the movie 300, right? The Spartans. And so those guys were an ancient Greek warrior society, and they were heavily trained, built up to fight battles their whole life, pretty much from the age of 7 on. So they didn't have anything called a Shield Lock. It was really called a phalanx, and that was a group of men, about 8 men deep, shoulder to shoulder, standing there with their shields. And their shields were roughly 3 feet in diameter, 15 to 20 pounds, and they held it with their left arm. What was impactful to me about reading this was that shield was only meant to protect half of them. The other half of it protected the warrior to their left of them, their right side. And that was really important because that wall in battle became an impenetrable wall, right? You were 8 men deep. The first few rows had spears, and then everybody else had their shields, and it was really hard for anybody to get through that, right? The other part to highlight is that these guys were not only are they disciplined, but they're dedicated. And my survival predicated on the man to the left and to the right of me. And so when we go in thinking about Shield Locks, that's something important to bring to the forefront, is your concentrica and your life and all those things around you and the people you have in your Shield Lock are really important. And the survival of those things is who you're gonna have to your left and to your right. And when you're thinking about who's in your Shield Lock, it's important because those warriors, Spartans in their warrior society, they were trained and disciplined in that way, and it was everything that they did was important to prevent the loss in battle, and they were very successful. They were feared and revered, which is a pretty cool thing to have in this impenetrable wall of shields and spears, and one guy just deciding and knowing that he has to protect himself, but also the guy to his left and to his right. And my survival also predicated on that same kind of mindset and discipline and dedication to that. So when we get further into the Shield Lock on the F3 version of that, I just want that historical imagery in your mind of how physically important a Shield Lock is on the battle space. Even though we're not really doing a real battle physically anymore, we are still taking that kind of mindset and discipline and dedication, moving it forward. So join me in a minute and we'll get into the rest of what F3 says a shield lock is. All right, guys, welcome back. I wanted to get further into what a shield lock is. Earlier, we talked about the historical facts of it and the shield lock formation with the Spartans and the phalanx that they used and how impenetrable it was and how important it was to their success for physical survival in the battle space. So here, we're going to talk about how F3 uses a shield lock, right? And so what is a shield lock? Well, let's just start with how the book defines that. All right, we're going to use the book for a lot of the terms. And like most books or some books that myself and other people read, you got to do more than just that one chapter. The whole book kind of goes back to what a shield lock is, so you'll find it sprinkled in there. So even though you're going to read the shield lock chapter, which is one of the first quadrants, Q1.7 on page 55, I believe, when you read the Q source, there's a lot more that will go into it, and that helps you understand what a shield lock is. So just going right now to the shield lock in the book, it just says a horizontal relationship between men. So that's the definition of a shield lock. And we can break that down a little bit on just understanding horizontal. So what that means is everybody in your shield lock, right, your 3 to 5 men on that shield lock, you're on a horizontal plane where you're generally equal. We'll get into more of that. So it's not a whetstone, right, a vertical relationship. This is a horizontal relationship, which is really important to keep in mind when you guys are starting to set up your shield locks, okay? So in the Q source, it talks a lot about that. And a shield lock is a team. A shield lock is a shared leadership team. A shield lock has some of the vital principles of it are the 3 Ps. It's proximate, purposeful, and periodic. So we're going to break down some of those. And when you go into the foundation series, just in the beginning of the book, it talks about what a team is. And so here in the book, it just says 2 or more people combined perform a specific mission for the benefit of a community or organization or both. So that's super important when you guys are doing this. You're not a club, you're not something else, you're a team that has a specific mission. All right, so in that shield lock, it talks about proximate, all right? And so we're gonna break that down again through the book on what it says. Okay, so in shield lock, it talks about proximate. And proximate, what it's talking about is a combination of 2 or more people formed to perform a specific mission. And the reason that proximate is important, it's closeness, nearness with one another, right? And I think there's multiple aspects that go to that. And I think one of those is proximate. It's in your daily life. You see your shield lock daily or weekly at least, and you talk to them in text and on the phone. And also, though, where you guys meet and live should be generally close to each other. So that's a super important aspect of it because we're trying to develop habits. And if somebody lives in Auburn and another person's in Sacramento, trying to make that meet in the middle is going to be super difficult. So it's not only location of where you guys are meeting, but also proximate just throughout the week, I think is super important. All right, the next P in there, right, is the purpose, right? So everything you do needs to have a purpose. We kind of talked about it earlier about the like your 8 block, filling that out. That way when you go into the shield lock and you're trying to decide what do you want, where are you trying to accelerate, you have a purpose, and you'll see if that shield lock is helping meet in that purpose, and if you can help the other men meet their purpose in that shield lock. And as a combined team, you guys yourself have a purpose, and that's to accelerate certain areas of your life or whatever it is you guys deem necessary. That last P, that is the other vital part of this, is periodic. And what that's just talking about is just consistency, right? Everything we do, if it's not consistent, it's not going to last. And so a lot of things with shield locks, people might say, hey, we'll just kind of meet whenever, once a month or twice a month or whenever we feel like it. And that, unfortunately, it's just not going to last. You can ask a lot of the people that are involved in shield locks, and I would venture to say that most of them that are successful have these vital importance of that. So periodic, you have, just like coming out to the gloom, you need to be consistent in there every week or every other week, whatever it is, but it has to be, it can't be a question, it just has to be, hey, this is where we're gonna be, and this is the time we're gonna be there. So those 3, what they talk about is some of the most important parts of a shield lock, right? The 3 Ps. Again, those are proximate, purposeful, and periodic. That's like the bare minimum, okay? So what else a shield lock is, it's 3 to 5 men Dread talks about really 4, because the perfect amount is 3. Sometimes if people are sick or on vacation, you might not be able to meet. So it's good to have 4. So I think 4 is probably the sweet spot to have that. That's really important, right? The other stuff that a shield lock has is it's got accountability, it's got trust, it's got teamwork and in there. So all those things are super important, and we're going to break some of those down. And I forgot to mention earlier that the reason that I feel like a shield lock is so important, it'll be so important for our region, is because you learn as a man that you can't do things alone. All right, you guys, so the big part of a shield lock is why I think it's so vital, is because it's the 3rd ring in the concentrica, right? You have your M, or your wife, or your spouse, your most important relationship, and then you're going to have your 2.0s or your shorties, and then that 3rd ring there is the shield lock. And I think that just goes to show how vital it is for the success of the rest of your concentrica, right? Your spouse and your kids and the community will benefit from that. And for most of you, like myself, realize that you couldn't do life alone. It's kind of probably what brought you out to F3. It's why you hopefully are staying in F3, because you need the accountability, you need the camaraderie, you need the teamwork that's here, and the commitment to standards. And so that's what a shield lock is. And personally, my shield locks help me accelerate in all those areas of my concentrica. And so it's really important, and that's why we're encouraging guys to get into it and get into a healthy, successful one. And like we talked about, a shield lock is a team. So you'll have to move over to the other chapter on shared leadership team, which is Q3.1, right? Shared leadership. And it talks about what a team is and some kind of the components of it. Again, it's like not everything's in that shield lock chapter. You have to go through the book and kind of parcel it out from other chapters in there. So that shared leadership team requires trust, shared virtues, and mutual competence between the team members, okay? So again, we talked about trust and shared virtues is super important. And then they also talk about the 5 C's in there, which is candor, commitment, consistency, contentment, and courage. So all these are also ingredients to a successful shield lock and what a shield lock is. Your shield lock, essentially, the bare minimum is having the 3 P's, right? And then, which is super important to have that proximate, purposeful, and periodic meeting with each other. You're a leadership team. You guys are equal. You're horizontally together. You guys have the same virtues and values. All right. You all are committed to acceleration and growth in your areas. You guys don't all have to be have the same goals or acceleration ideas, but you all need to be committed to personally accelerate and hold each other accountable and to those standards, which is super important. So that's why I think it's good to fill out an 8 block, and we'll share that info later. You guys can start doing that. That way you know where you stand and how the men can help you and how you can help them accelerate in their areas as well. So there's a lot in the book. There's just the shield lock chapter, but all the other chapters also can go back to what a shield lock is. And the other aspect of that is accountability in there, which is super important. And so when you guys are setting up your shield locks, keep those things in mind. Keep the 3 P's in mind. Keep to understand that it's not a club. It's not a whetstone. You don't want it to slip into that. And realizing that they talk about it in the book, but you know, man can't hunt alone. And it's super important to have that, to have guys covering your 6. We talk about that a lot. We go pick up the 6. And this is to accelerate your whole concentrica. So when you guys are setting it up, be very intentional about who you want in there. It's an exclusive team, right? You're not just picking everybody just because he's your friend or something. And it's easy to slip into kind of what a shield lock isn't, and it's just a hangout or a club. But those aren't shield locks. Shield locks they have purpose. They're consistent, right? And you guys are seeing each other weekly, if not daily, or at least communicating daily. So those are a few things that make up what a shield lock is. I hope you guys find them valuable, and stay tuned and we'll get into why a shield lock is important and why I personally have benefited from that. All right, see you in the gloom.